time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. It is time. You know,
it's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A.
By the way, I was going to...
Yeah. I don't know. That's twice this week. You're like, hey, we're going to do it at this point, and then we just go right by it. It's fine.
Wait, what was the first time?
On Monday.
What did I do?
You were like, we're going to do it after so-and-so, and then both Andy and I looked at each other like, oh, that ship sailed.
By the way, ship didn't sail. Watch this.
Ariel Helwani.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much to Mike Heck. A reminder that this week's segment On the Nose, everyone's favorite segment of the week, is brought to you by our good friends over at Whoop, the 24/7 personalized fitness and health coach. Whoop is a sleek, screenless fitness wearable that tracks your sleep and daily activity, creating a detailed breakdown of what's going on with your fitness and health. Lots of professional fighters are using Whoop to track their workouts. Our own GC started wearing Whoop, and guess what? He's running a half marathon now. I mean, any truth to the rumor that once you started to see your information, you're like, you know what? I'm fit enough to run a half marathon.
It is not a rumor. It is 100% truth. The only reason I'm running this half marathon is because of Whoop. I just signed up for a second half marathon in May because of Whoop.
Where's the second one?
Brooklyn. I'm doing New York, and then I'm doing Brooklyn.
You mean New York City?
Yeah. NYC.
Wow. Who knew there were so many half marathons?
Shout out to Whoop.
Is there a half marathon in every borough? Like, is there a Staten Island? Is there a Bronx?
I don't know, but maybe I should run all 5.
That'd be cool. Yes, shout out to Whoop. Try Whoop for yourself today, and maybe you too can run a half marathon. That's over at whoop.com, WHOOP.com. That's whoop.com. And please use the code MMA to save 10% today. When you check out, put MMA, you'll get 10% off. You could be like GC, you could be running half marathons. All right. Thank you very much to Whoop. Please support them because they support us. Let's get to the questions because, as I said, it's been a while. And, of course, thank you very much to our good friend, Moderator Lewis, for putting them all together. Taco Enthusiast. Hi, Ariel. Thanks for sticking up for what's right. Unfortunately, the ongoings of the past couple of weeks have really put a sour taste in my mouth to start 2023. Quote, Dana White is a good fight promoter, but he also physically abused his wife in a public setting, fails to give fighters long-term health care, pensions, or fair pay for their very risky jobs, slanders the integrity of MMA journalists, his contractors, his competitors, and others, verbally harasses people and lies for personal gain, turns the other way when American fighters take money for photo ops with a Chechen warlord. My question is simple. How did Dana White craft such a bubble of invincibility that Endeavour, ESPN, UFC colleagues, and many fighters do not speak up when something like this happens? How can he continue to get away with things without any repercussions? Thanks, Ariel. You the man. And PSA, shame on Ari Emanuel and Endeavour. Shame on the rest of the UFC brass. Shame on ESPN and Stephen A. for being soft when they could have shed light on the issue. And shame on those of you defending a man who abused his wife. Men don't ever lay hands on a woman. It's not okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And most importantly, rest in peace, Victoria Lee. Prayers and love up for her family. Wow, a lot there. And obviously, I echo the final sentiment. The Victoria Lee story is truly heartbreaking. With regards to Dana has been lucky enough to surround himself with business partners who, A, enable him, B, support him, it seems unconditionally, and C, take on the approach of, all right, we're paying you to just run this whole ship. Because you have to remember, the UFC has a tremendous deal with ESPN. They had a tremendous deal with Fox. They had a tremendous deal with Spike. All of them, right? The 3 main broadcasters that they've had over the last 15 or so years. Where unlike the NBA, unlike the NFL, unlike Major League Baseball, NHL, they produce all the content. They produce everything. They produce all the shows, the pre-shows, all that stuff. It's one of the reasons why when the deal kicked in January of 2019, I wasn't doing pre and post shows anymore. I got the boot because it was all them. It's their guys. Their broadcasters, the ones that you see on television, work for them. They don't work for ESPN. Now, they might have side deals, like DC has a side deal with ESPN to do his podcast, but when he is doing a UFC broadcast, it's all being paid by the UFC. the network, ESPN in this case, pays the UFC a massive sum of money, and they do the rest. And so the approach is always like, this is yours, you do it, we're not going to meddle. Now, ESPN meddles a little more than Fox, but I'm talking about like that much more. It's not a big difference. It's not very impactful. And so because of the fact that he just kind of runs the ship, they kind of let him do it. And because of his personality and because he is prone to picking up the phone and chewing you out and is a, 800-pound gorilla and is very intimidating and is an alpha male, people don't want to rock the boat. And he's been able to be surrounded by people who just don't want to rock the boat. Now, the Endeavour thing and the ESPN thing are two completely different things. He works for Endeavour, but he's also been represented by Endeavour. Endeavour were his agents. They represented the UFC for many years. They got them deals and whatnot. And so they're programmed to protect him. They're programmed to represent him. So what are they going to do? I could tell you this, though. I have heard at this point from people within the company who are disappointed, who are frustrated, who are upset, who have told me that, listen, it's a tough thing. I don't envy them. You work for the company, you get paid. You're going to speak out, you're going to probably get fired. Or maybe not fired because that would be a bad look in the interim, but you're not going to get opportunities, you're not going to grow. So I don't begrudge anyone who doesn't do that. I don't even begrudge like the broadcasters who aren't doing it because they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What are they going to do? Speak out about the guy who's going to rule with an iron fist and end their career if they do so? But there are people within those walls that have souls, who have hearts, who have consciences, and say to themselves, you're not even going to say anything? You're not even going to put out a statement? You're not even going to say a word about any of this? There are women there who are saying to themselves, like, what is our stance on this again? What if this happened internally between me and a colleague? What would happen then? So it's a tricky spot that they have put themselves in. I think that they have hoped that this would go away. I think they hope that him speaking out right off the bat, once the news came out, would, squash any backlash, and it hasn't. Things are still popping up. Now, an article here, an article there, that doesn't seem to deter them, but I do think that this is going to do irreparable harm to his legacy and to whenever he needs to have a stance on a situation like this, because I can assure you something is going to happen over the next year or so, and he's going to be the president. He's going to have to answer to it, and his words won't mean anything. You can't sit there anymore and say you can't come back from hitting a woman. You can't. When you did it and came back, you did it, and there were no repercussions. You did it, and there was no accountability. And again, I will remind the people who say you should move on. I will remind the people who say you should not care anymore because he apologized or his wife doesn't seem to care and there were no charges, etc. I will remind all those people to say this is bigger than that. This is the message that you have sent to your employees, to your fighters, that this is okay. This is the message that you have sent to your fighters who are defending you, that this is okay, that this type of behavior is okay. And I am not brushing under the rug, sweeping under the rug. I am not trying to create any sort of lumpy rug of like, hey, she hit him first. No, she did. We saw it on camera. She did. But now you're telling your employees and your fighters that if this exact same situation happens to you, it's okay. And more than likely, if it doesn't even go down in those, in that sequence of events, it's still okay. Nothing has happened. Not a thing has happened as of right this second. As of 1:40 p.m. Eastern time, not a thing. Not a statement. Not a, hey, we're going to look into this. Not a, we've talked to him. Not a, we condemn this. Not a, we don't accept this. We don't support this. Nothing. That to me is unfathomable. Again, I didn't expect anything major to happen. I didn't expect him to get fired. I didn't expect him. And I have never even said that. I have never even raised that. But you want to know that they have a pulse, that they have a soul, that they care about this sort of thing, that it's not just glitz, glamour, fights, front row tickets, Yahoo, sell pay-per-views. A little bit of a soul, because I would like to think Ari Emanuel and Patrick Whitesell and everyone who works at the UFC and Endeavour don't support this sort of thing. So what's so bad, as Taco Enthusiast is mentioning, what's so bad about speaking up and saying we don't support this? I don't know. And I don't really look to ESPN as an entity to say they don't support it, because the UFC is not owned by ESPN. Certainly I'm disappointed in some of the personalities there. Can't look at them the same. Can't look at them the same when you are apologizing and defending this type of behavior. When you have more fire, more intensity, more panache, speaking about, whether the Bengals should have a home game in the second round of the playoffs than this, something's wrong. You need to check yourself. When you're more fired up about, the NBA lottery and tanking than this, we need to maybe check our priorities. But you laid it out, taco enthusiast. The legacy speaks for itself at this point. And as I said last week, he is who we thought he was. And I've tried to tell you. Now, people are going to believe what they want to believe, but it's just a long line of things that, are disheartening, disappointing, hard to defend, impossible to defend, dare I say. And this is at the top of the list. But they claim that they have this this like code of conduct. There is no code of conduct. There is none. There is absolutely none. I mean, could you imagine any other sport where like the stars of the sport are taking pictures with a dictator or warlord and nothing happens? Consider this. You will get in more trouble. Consider this. I mean, how crazy is this? You will get in more trouble in the UFC right now, if you're a UFC fighter, if you are training with James Krause than if you are hanging out with a dictator. How crazy is that? I mean, just consider that. You take a picture with James Krause right now, you're in trouble. You take a picture with Ramzan Kadyrov, it's like, cool. When's your next fight? We'll send over the bout agreement. I mean, what is going on? It's a crazy world. Sainty, hey Ariel, my mother and sister are survivors of domestic violence, and on behalf of them, thank you for speaking out against Dana White's actions and the lack of accountability from the companies that employ him, and speaking out against the fans that encourage such behavior. I don't have a question. I just wanted to express my gratitude and tell you that you and the MMA Hour team have done a great job of cultivating a safe environment for all MMA fans, regardless of gender, race, religion, or sexual orientation. It is extremely appreciated in this divisive time. God bless and thank you for all you do. I want to remind you that I'm not picking these questions. There's a ton of them. I do appreciate that moderator Lewis picks these, and they do really mean a lot to me, and the people who have texted or DM, I've read them and they meant a lot, but I'm not trying to like sit here and pat ourselves on the back. We're not trying to do this to curry favor or to virtue signal or to be white knights. This to me is like the easiest of all decisions. How could you support this? You can't. I'm sorry. You can't. And you're all a bunch of clowns. You're all a bunch of Neanderthals if you are trying to support this. Every single one of you, including the fighters. Very, very disappointing. Extremely disappointing. There is no defense. And if you're going to look at that video and say that it's tit for tat, it's not. It is absolutely not. Just look at it. You're a fool. And by the way, I was taught long ago that your true colors come out under the influence of alcohol. You're gonna use alcohol as an excuse here. That is as whack as can be. No, you're a grown person. You make decisions. Okay. And who's to check? Who even knows? Like you're oh, there was alcohol. Okay, well then it's okay. Oh, she hit him first. Well then it's okay. No. And when you're in a position of power and you are that influential and you're a quote unquote leader of men, as they said, no. You should act accordingly. At least that's what I believe. Leo, hola Ariel. I'm struggling with my UFC fandom with everything in the MMA news cycle lately. I believe moving forward, I will not be buying every pay-per-view as I have been for the past 4 years. I'll be watching prelims and reruns when I can. I can no longer stand to drive home from a friend's house at 1 a.m. or have my friends do the same for an organization that won't condemn domestic violence. I don't think this is being hyperbolic, by the way. They will not say anything. Think about that. They will not say a word. They won't even put out a 2-sentence statement. And I know to some of you that's empty and that's hollow. It's not to me. The fact that they would go out and do that, like, all right, okay, fine. You're at least telling your public, and maybe they've seen enough tweets and enough commentary where they feel like they don't, but I could tell you in the orbit that I live in, it would mean something. Anyway, back to Leo. Or will now charge $80 for their product while not supporting their legends and fighters. My question is, do you believe there's a time where ESPN Endeavour will pivot to prevent more fans like me and others from no longer watching, or will they instead put effort into gaining other viewers that better suit their ideal customer? My opinion is that the UFC is now becoming a detriment to themselves. It will never be the next NFL, NBA, MLB if they continue on the path they're currently on. They were never going to be the next NFL. I mean, there's always going to be a group of people that don't like fighting, and there's always going to be a group of people that don't like cage fighting. That was never going to happen. I'm sorry, but it was never going to happen. Extremely lucrative, extremely valuable, all those things, but no chance. And again, I'm not looking to ESPN. I'm looking to ESPN if we want to say like, hey, I want to see them cover this the same way they cover an NBA scandal, an NFL scandal on all the different platforms, on all the different shows, podcast, TV, digital. Not quite seeing that, but fine. Trust me, I was there. I know how it goes, and they're shackled as well. You're looking for the owners. You're looking for the parent company. You're looking for the parent company that has spoken out about other controversial things, like I've said, Saudi Arabia, Kanye West, etc., to have that same energy. When it comes to domestic violence, I mean, who in their right mind is divided on this topic? You want to sit back and be like, yo, Kyrie was just throwing out a link. Kanye is just doing this, that, or the other. Saudis are just... Domestic violence? Domestic violence. Hitting the mother of your children, hitting any woman. I don't know how you could be divided on this one. Honestly, I don't know. And I don't know how people are defending this. Blaine Miller. Ariel and crew, hope it's a great day in New York for y'all. Recently, Francis Ngannou posted a picture and it looked like his mother was wearing a PFL shirt. Is Francis making the move to PFL? Surely the $1 million tournament winnings will be much less than a fight with John Jones. Thoughts on this? No. Francis, as of right this moment, isn't going to the PFL. I don't know why his mother was wearing a shirt with the PFL logo on it. You know, the story is still evolving. I still believe at the end of the day, he goes back to the UFC, in large part because he's not represented by CAA, and that was a big stumbling block. CAA, Endeavour, they're, you know, not the best of friends. But as of right this moment, there's no deal in place for him to, you know, re-sign, and there's no deal in place for him to fight on March 4th. And that's going to be the real interesting one. It's January 11th. Who's fighting on March 4th? I've told you they wanted John Jones versus Francis. Here's the really interesting thing. If John Jones is truly ready to fight on March 4th, you got to get him a fight on March 4th. The ideal scenario would be Francis, but we were told he was also truly ready to fight on December 10th. You can't delay. There's only going to be so many John Jones fights left. And so if Francis Ngannou is not ready to return, and there's a possibility he's just not ready to return, you know, that'll be a year or so since the knee injury. It's not a crazy thought that he won't be ready to return. If John Jones is ready to return and Francis isn't, you have to go to the next guy. And I would imagine the next guy would be Stipe. And if for whatever reason Stipe can't fight, you got to go to the next guy. And I would imagine the next guy would be Ciryl Gane. And if Ciryl Gane's not ready, you got to go to the next guy. And I would imagine that's Curtis Blades. You got to get John Jones a fight because you don't know when he'll be available again. Ideal would be John Jones versus Francis. Number 2 would be John Jones versus Stipe. But if he is ready and willing to fight on March 4th, if he wants to, if he is prepared, ready to go, training, feels good about fighting at heavyweight, you got to get him a fight. As of right now, no deal for Francis to re-sign or to fight on March 4th. That's what they want to do. And I think as of right this second, it ultimately gets done. I don't know if it gets done all in time for him to fight on March 4th. That's TBD. Chris, Ariel and friends, how are we? We are doing great. By the way, big Forest match coming up. 2:30, I think, against Wolves. Carabao Cup. The more prestigious of the cups compared to FA Cup, of course.
Yeah, we still don't care about the cups.
We don't care. We don't care, but I would rank Carabao number 1 than FA. Like, FA Cup is like the biggest jabroni cup of all time.
For sure.
Chris Williams says, when will the UFC announce the headliners for the March pay-per-views? Oh, wow. We were less than 2 months from 285, and there doesn't seem to be any traction on Francis Jones, Cejudo, Sterling. For 286, if Usman's hand isn't a big deal, then what's the holdup there? Yeah, I'm not sure about the latter. And we'll see. You know, maybe there's a reason why they didn't go to Cardiff or to a bigger stadium. I just spoke about 285. Not sure what's going to happen there. You know, hearing some chatter that, you know, well, I've already told you that the pay-per-view in April is going to be at the beginning of April. And I have heard, this is not me, I've heard that Brooklyn is in play for the beginning of April. Now, does it ultimately go to Brooklyn? I know they talk to a lot of different venues, and they can change on a dime. But Brooklyn is in play, and they have gone to Brooklyn in April in the past, so it's not the craziest thought. Do you want to have Jones fight in Brooklyn? Not a bad idea. And then Sterling announcing yesterday that he's injured and he's going to be out. What's going to happen then? So, yeah, a lot up in the air. Logan, hello, Ariel. I hope you are doing well. I was wondering what you and the boys are doing for your New Year's resolutions. Happy New Year's to the crew. Can I tell you what's my biggest pet peeve? It's no longer being told or getting, the Happy New Year wish post January 4th, 5th. I don't want to be that guy. Look, you see someone for the first time, on January 16th. All right, yeah, you're nice. Happy New Year. Can I tell you what's an even bigger pet peeve of mine? Happy New Year's. Why do people say that? Happy New Year's. What is that? That's horrible English.
I think it stems from New Year's Eve.
I know, but isn't it annoying? Happy New Year's. You see people write that on social media. Happy New Year's. What? It's Happy New Year.
I mean, you're not wrong. It is annoying.
I'm trying to rack my brain how many times I've said New Year's.
Oh, I hate it. It's a huge pet peeve. I've already said what my resolution is, and that's no more Apex events. But then on Monday, I had the whole thing. I'm not going to harp on it. What about you guys? Any resolutions? And also, is that a resolution or is that more of a wish? I don't know. I guess the resolution would be not to harp on it.
Right. Is that your resolution? Are you confirming that?
I want to think about it. What about you? Do you have one, Frank?
Big surprise here. I don't really subscribe to that whole thing. I don't like making declarations and then feeling bad when they don't work out.
Like anything you're hoping to accomplish?
It's just silly. Yeah.
Well, you're in control of accomplishing them.
Yeah.
But nah, I don't know.
No? Okay.
No, I really don't. Yeah, just silly.
What about you, GC?
Half marathon.
Oh, yeah.
2 hours.
Is this part of like a New Year resolution thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Clean up the eating. Get in shape.
Then start training for MMA.
Half marathon.
I love it.
Yeah, then post the 2 half marathons, then we start bulking season over the summer. We get huge. Start taking some boxing classes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Menace to society.
Wow.
Take a future on TV.
Yeah, 2027 champ in Shamrock Fight League.
What about you, Rick?
Rick, you there?
I'm here.
Oh.
No resolutions. Don't need the calendar changing over to get me to do things.
Yeah, there we go. High five.
Both of them
buddy.
not having resolutions might be the least shocking thing of the day.
Yeah. I mean,
I will,
silly.
When I have a resolution, I do it. I don't need it to be January 1st.
Yeah. I like that mindset.
Can I tell you another thing that kind of irks me a little bit? It's that
people don't have resolutions.
No, it's like when people are like, man, I can't wait for the end of the year. Like, I can't wait for 2023. And then all of a sudden 2023 starts. It's like, man, what a tough start to the year. It's like, you know what? This is just a week, okay? It's no different than July 1st to July 8th, all right? Stop putting like so much pressure
While we're
on.
piling on here. When
Yeah,
people
please,
are
please.
like,
keep it going.
when they're like, oh, with the holiday shuffle, I lost track. No, you didn't. You were winding down. This is the time where you actually can answer everything.
I hate can we just put 2022 in the rear view and finally get to 2023? It's going to be the same thing.
Nothing's going to change.
I'm with you on that, Rick. We're just turning the calendar. Nothing is going to change.
This is so close to my heart. This is all very special to me. Arbitrary dates and timelines and things, get them out. Arbitrary resolutions, get them out. Although I will say, Helwani,
I do like resolutions.
Yes, please.
New Year's
is annoying.
From New Year's Eve, from New Year's Day. That is the name of the holiday, right? So if somebody says to you, Happy New Year's, they are omitting the day, but that is the name of the holiday.
That's stretching.
They can wish you a Happy New Year. They can wish you that your 2023 is going well, but there is a holiday that they can be referring to. Just something out there for you to
don't love it.
As
I don't
someone
think
who
they're thinking on
definitely
that
said
level.
Happy New Year's, I
hate
like
it.
That,
Hate it. Happy New Year's. What does
Just
that even
saying.
mean?
Legit
Just say
don't
happy.
like
It doesn't make sense. It's grammatically incorrect.
No, there's
That's okay.
I mean,
That's all right.
And they do it everywhere,
Just a
like
nice
Barnes and
sentiment.
Nobles. Like, there's no S.
Also, can I tell you another thing that gives me
I like those.
great stress? People are like, man, 2023 is going to be my year. So like, you ever go back and do a deep dive on someone's social and it's like 2020 or 2020 is going to be a great year for all of us. It's like, oh yeah, want to make God laugh? Tell them your plans for the future. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself to make this your year. Just go out and win the day. Wake up.
It works well though.
It doesn't work well
because when you do become successful, and then you can put it on Instagram and talk about how at the beginning of the year you said you were going to make it your year, and then these amazing things happened. It looks prophetic. It looks incredible.
Can I tell you about something else that annoys me? Yeah, thank you. It's when people do those like reels at the end of the year and be like, look at all the shit that I did, okay, enough. All right,
ladies and gentlemen, that brings us
really
to the end of the 2022 season, and then corny music.
Like, what is this?
And then the quick cuts between
0.5 second highlights of everything you did to make it look all crazy.
Enough. By the way,
I feel like a lot of people listening right now
we have something like that?
Wow, I feel exposed.
Yeah, it's almost like we did a 3-hour show celebrating the end of.
No, we were celebrating. By the way, we were
2022.
celebrating other people's accomplishments.
Didn't you have a reels on your
Sure.
Instagram showing the end of the whole year in a flashback?
Me?
Yeah, didn't Spencer do something like that?
How dare you speak of Spencer like that?
I'm just wondering. I mean, we're now
No, it was
guilty.
it was that is so rude. Call up Spencer right now. Have him defend himself. That was so rude of you. That was showcasing all the people who came in studio. That was gratitude. That was being thankful. That wasn't us being like, oh, look at me, I went on a trip. And you know what? It just makes people feel bad. It makes people feel like, oh, my year wasn't as good. It wasn't up to snuff. Not a fan. Not a fan of any of that, to be honest.
Facts.
Not a fan of Happy New Year's. Not a fan of those end of the year things. Not a fan of putting pressure on yourself. Just win the day. Go out there, win the day. And by the way, New York
Happy New Year's. Here's to a big 2020.
My resolution.
Yes, talk to me.
I was talking to Coker about this, and I know you're the social. Have you seen this Keith Lee? What he's been doing on TikTok?
Nah, missed it. Never heard of him.
Could I tell you?
Rick is the founder.
Can you pull back the count? I'm the number one Keith Lee fan.
In our group chat, Nick has been championing the Rick has been championing I was thinking of my guy Nick Khan. Rick has been championing the Keith Lee cause for what, months now?
Yeah, I was a early adopter.
Never
I'm
clicked on any of the links. Now I can't get enough of him. I have to admit,
he's tremendous.
In a sea of negativity on social media, I've already told you what I think of it all. I hope they burn to the ground, all the sites. Remember when they said Twitter was shutting down like in 12 hours? Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It was never, ever going to happen.
Anyway, this guy is like a beacon of light. He's like the one positive thing online.
I do not regret my Kaposa social media person of the year being Washinya.
That is a great call.
There is one that could have been, and it would have been Keith Lee. The positivity, not only just the positivity of his content and his videos, but he's literally out there making a change in his community and changing the lives of small business owners and their restaurants and their families. So yeah, Keith Lee is the man.
Could you imagine if he found his way back into Bellator based off of TikTok?
Dude, this guy's going to be like a big star. Like he could be on these influencer cards. Forget Bellator. Like he could be headlining cards. Keith Lee is
Fighting's Keith Lee expert, Eric Jackman.
Well, no, but he is right. I mean, that it is incredible. The guy's like, I typed in his name on Twitter. He's in a Chipotle ad or whatever that thing was. What about the fact, and some of this is just bad luck, but Keith Lee, Anthony Taylor, Dylan Dennis, all former Bellator guys who they're not able to capitalize off of and now are, doing things, at least generating some sort of interest. Like the Anthony Taylor one is a crazy one to me. He was just sort of like a mid-tier guy, and now he's a mainstay on these cards. Dylan, say what you will about him. I don't know if the views, the likes, the tweets, the whatever translate into actual viewership numbers, but a lot of people know who he is and are somewhat invested in his story for whatever reason. And Keith Lee is like Mr. Wholesome. You know what I love about the Keith Lee stuff? It's all like, Keith told me to do this, and Keith told me, like, he's like everyone's friend. It's unbelievable.
He's everybody's best friend. Yeah.
And he's Kevin Lee's brother.
I think you touched on something. I think they needed to kind of break out of the confines of not necessarily Bellator, because I don't think that would be fair, but like the MMA structure of like fight on the undercard of a fight against somebody that nobody's ever heard of, and they themselves are somebody nobody has ever heard of. I think they kind of needed to break outside of that to achieve the things that they've achieved, even Dylan Dennis to a certain extent. But yeah, it's a hopeful and positive story for sure. I mean, Keith Lee is a mega social star, and I feel like he's going to hit the mainstream pretty soon.
Meanwhile, on the flip, you've got his brother, Kevin Lee, who I hope is going to return and hopefully he's healthy, signing with Dominance, announcing that he's now Muslim, and talking shit on my Instagram. What the hell? Kevin, I thought we were boys. He was all up. He's like, oh, you don't really, why are you showing love, or why are you spotlighting these clowns like KSI? You only care about their follower count. Like, I give a fuck. If that's the case, I would have had KSI on moons ago. Don't be bitter. Don't be upset. Like, what? I'm trying to show love to everyone. I have everyone on the show. What are you talking about? It's crazy. I just go on there this morning. I'm like, what? Motown Phenom, all of a sudden you turn heel on me? I thought we were boys. What happened? Oh, I know what happened. Hello, Ariel. With everything going on in Brazil, this is from Alfredo. Do you think the January 21st pay-per-view runs any risk of being moved or canceled? For example, I'm sure authorities have to provide a police presence at all sporting events. If the political unrest continues, I doubt they could provide it. Interested to hear your thoughts, or if you remember a similar situation happening at a past event. I mean, honestly, I am not the expert when it comes to this. The Brazilian Beast, Guilherme Cruz, would be the expert when it comes to this. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in Brazilian politics. Obviously, I've seen what is going on. It's crazy how reminiscent it was. And it goes, by the way, can I make this comparison? Dare I try? This goes back to what I said for the first question. If you show the world, if you show the public that there are no repercussions for crazy actions, guess what? Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Guess what? Other people will copy you. Remember what happened on January 6th? Oh, that's okay? Let's do it. Now, the Jose Aldo component in all of this is too bizarre even for my own brain. But to answer the question, I don't know, honestly. What is Guilherme saying about this? My guy. I'll ask him and report back. Or maybe he's watching and he can tell me. Crazy time. What a start to 2023, right, guys?
What a start.
Can we just be done with 2023 already? I can't wait for 2024.
Max83. Hello, Ariel. My question is, can you clear up the structure of the UFC for me? I can't really find much about it. We know about Dana, Hunter, Mick, and Sean, but not about many of the other figures in the UFC. Is Epstein still around? And what does Joe Silva do now? Wow, there's a blast from the past. Much love from Germany, and a happy new year to you and the whole crew. Rick, what about Joe Silva right now? He's probably on his couch reading like a pile of comics, just laughing at all of this, right? I mean, he is like the happiest guy, the biggest pig in shit of all time. He doesn't have to deal with any of this shit. Joe Silva, of course.
Yeah, he cashed out his chips at the right time.
Oh.
He just got out, chilling, living the good life.
There was a period where I was asking him to come on for years, and then I just stopped because I was like, what? This guy has no interest. And you know what? I don't blame him. Who needs it? At the very top is Endeavour. You've got Ari Emanuel and Patrick Whitesell. I would say below them, once we start to get into the actual UFC structure, if you will, what is that called? You're good at these terms. You're very corporate when it comes to this stuff. It's like an organizational chart, New York Rick. What do you call it?
Yeah, org chart.
See, I said organizational. He says org. That's just a cooler way to say it. Dana, Hunter, chief legal counsel, but really, like, he is the straw that stirs the drink. He is the guy. He's the one negotiating. He's the one on the front lines. He's the dude. You know, I've said this before. Sent me a very nice text when I reported that he was joining the company. Never heard from him again. But of course, I'm not holding any kind of drug. What's going on here? Any kind of grudge, because people speak actually quite highly of him in terms of the ones who have to negotiate with him and, really get down to the nitty gritty. He's less emotional. He's less combative. He's just less like fiery. And obviously, it's easier to negotiate with someone like that. So you've got Dana, then you've got Hunter, you've got Lawrence. Mick and Sean are the matchmakers, and they obviously have very important positions, and they have, they have divvied up the divisions. So Sean has X amount, Mick has X amount, Mick has the women, et cetera, et cetera. Lawrence Epstein is still around. Joe Silva is long gone. He left in late 2016, early 2017. And that's pretty much it. The company used to be a lot more robust, and then post-sale, a lot of the executives left. The Gary Cooks of the world, the Marshalls, the Lasniks of the world, they have left. There was the head of Canada, there was Tom Wright, there was the head of Brazil, Giovanni Decker. I mean, it was a massive, massive org chart, if you will, and now it's a lot more skeletal, bare bones. H. De La Cruz 24, Ariel, thoughts on the power move that Vince made? Oh my. Where do you think this puts Paul, Steph, and Nick? This saga has been crazy that he would destroy WWE, then see it ran by someone, not him. I think he's looking to only sell if someone gives him a Dana White role, which puts him back in power. I mean, what a crazy last few days in the world of WWE. And I understand that not everyone who watches this show either knows or cares, but just in very quick, short terms, you may recall back in June, there were some reports in the Wall Street Journal that allegations were being made. There was an investigation into misconduct by Vince McMahon about improper payments to employees, relationships with employees, all this kind of stuff. His daughter, Stephanie McMahon, had taken a leave of absence just weeks prior. She's brought back as interim CEO. Then out of the blue, after more investigations, more reports, on a Friday, Vince just sends out a tweet that he is retired, that he's gone. Stephanie's named co-CEO with Nick Khan, also co-CEO. Her husband, Paul Levesque, is brought back as chief content officer. And then this like stretch of good vibes commences. Old faces are brought back. New people are brought in, signed, and it just felt like everything was clicking, firing on all cylinders. It was good vibes. It felt like the ship was back on its path, train back on the tracks, whatever analogy you want to use. And then end of the year, we start to get more reports from the Wall Street Journal that Vince wants back, that he regrets the decision, that he was given bad advice. Fast forward, he's back as of late last week. He's voted by the board as chairman once again. He's voted in as chairman. He brings in the former presidents of the company back on the board. A couple people leave. And then last night, and I understand that I'm going by this very, very quickly. It's a lot more complex. But then as of last night, we find out Stephanie McMahon resigning as co-CEO and resigning from WWE. No leave of absence, just leaving. Paul Levesque remains chief content officer. Nick Khan, my former agent, who I've been very open about, relationship, worked together long before his days at WWE, is now the sole CEO, Vince chairman, and they're going to sell the company, or they're exploring all their options. And then late at night, we get a report that they have sold to Saudi Arabia. When I saw that report, I did not believe it, because if you announce that you are for sale and that you've just, hired JP Morgan to help in this process, it's not going to happen that quickly. I also have my doubts, and maybe I'll be proven wrong here, that it would be the best move for them to sell to Saudi Arabia. I can understand the benefits after what just happened, where Vince is like, look, if I can't have this, you can have this. And if I can have this, I'm keeping this private because I don't want to have to deal with no SEC or, boards or anything like that. I'm keeping this in-house because I don't want people looking through my stuff. I could get that, but to sell it to Saudi Arabia, who, what is NBC going to negotiate with Saudi Arabia, a Saudi Arabian owned property for its next TV deal? Is Fox going to do that? How's that working for Live Golf? I didn't really believe it, and I didn't believe that it could happen that fast. Now we'll see what's going to happen here. I will say was sad, as a fan of wrestling, sad to see Stephanie go because I think based on everyone that I've talked to, and I feel confident saying that, everyone respects her. I mean, I've rarely heard someone say anything negative about her. She seems like a great leader, a great person. I mentioned yesterday on Twitter, I've only met her once. That was in Nashville at SummerSlam. Had a very brief conversation with her. It was no longer than 5 minutes. 99% of the conversation was about being a parent and loving picking up kids from school and being there for your kids. Her kids are much older than mine, but that was it. And I couldn't believe how down to earth and how personable she was, but it confirmed everything that I had heard. And so I could imagine morale might be a little bit low right now with her leaving, wondering what the status is of Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, because people seem to like, the direction of the company with him involved. And what is Vince going to do now that he's involved? I'm open about my feelings towards Nick Khan. And I see some of these noobs and these freakazoids online being like, he's a company man. Like, based on what? I don't work for WWE. I can't hide from the fact that I used to work with the guy before WWE. I couldn't predict any of this, but I know him intimately. Yes, that is true. And I trust him. And he's the smartest person that I've ever met in terms of media business is concerned. And as I wrote yesterday, he's always 4 steps ahead. Like, he would forecast things to me before there was even an inkling of them becoming a reality. He's just brilliant when it comes to this stuff. Truly brilliant. Like, I don't use that word lightly. He is brilliant. And so with him still there, I have hope. Now, what direction they're going to go in, who they're going to be sold to, where they're going to go, I don't know. I did report today that the report that they have been sold to Saudi Arabia is false. They're still exploring all those options. Could it happen? Sure. Do I think it would be a mistake? Yes. And we'll see what happens here. But yes, there's a lot in flux. I see some people saying that they knew he was always going to come back. I mean, I thought that was it. And it is somewhat shocking after the good vibes of the last few months and disheartening to see him now all of a sudden come back and it seems like the whole thing has been blown up. I personally think Paul sticks around. And I do wish that we had like a sliding doors thing where it was like, if none of this ever happened, would Stephanie ever have come back? And is it possible that it's like, all right, you're back. Now I can go back to my leave of absence and be with my family. Is that possible? Sure. The whole thing feels very sort of tricky because at the end of the day, it is a father and a daughter dynamic. Like, we forget that sometimes. Allegations, all this stuff, like, that is his daughter and she's allowed to feel a certain way. And we don't truly know how she feels about this all, but you just kind of hope that it's not as messy as it may seem. But now she's leaving. I do wonder though, with Paul Levesque being healthy, why wouldn't you keep him around? Like, the work speaks for itself. The reputation speaks for itself. Why wouldn't you keep him around? If you want to buy the company, why wouldn't you want to have him involved? Now, does the new company come in and blow it up? Why would you do that? When Endeavour bought UFC, they still kept Dana. They still kept Mick and Sean and all these people. So I would imagine they would want to keep the soldiers that made it as successful as it was around. Now, does that mean Vince sticks around? Does that mean Nick Khan sticks around? I don't know. But in terms of like the creative people, why wouldn't you want to keep those people around? So a lot in flux, a lot up in the air. I'm very open about the fact that I didn't like the product when Vince was around, and I liked the product a lot better when he left and Triple H was around. But as of right this moment, what we're being told is Triple H is still the guy, running the show as far as the content is concerned, the creative is concerned. So let's see. It's a little bit messy at the moment. It's a soap opera unlike any. And I know it's easy to, make the jokes about the previous angles of the family. I mean, it's all kind of played out over the years. This is obviously real life. But yeah. And I see some people being like, are you going to be as hard on Vince as you were on Dana White? Like, to me, it's not exactly apples to apples. But yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? Do I condone that kind of behavior? Of course not. This isn't a pro wrestling show, but it hasn't played out the way that Dana White. There's no video footage of all this stuff. He did leave. And if any of it is true, and I believe the investigation proved that, there were payments and there was, I don't condone any of that. I don't like any of that. And I don't feel comfortable about, them being sold to Saudi Arabia as a journalist, as someone who takes pride considering their history with, how they've treated journalists in the past, let alone other human rights issues. So all of this is kind of crazy. And I've talked to a couple people behind the scenes, and, there is trepidation and there is anxiety and some despair. And there was some like, man, it was going so well. What's going to happen now? I don't know. It remains to be seen. The one part that gives me hope is that Nick is still there because, like I said, I personally trust him very much, just given my relationship, and think very highly of Paul. Don't know Vince, never met Vince. The history speaks for itself. The reputation speaks for itself. And, it seemed like the three-headed regime of Vince, Stephanie, and Nick Nick, Stephanie, and Paul was perfect. Everyone seemed happy, no complaints, felt like the good vibes were at an all-time high, and now it just seems like everything has changed. Everything has changed. What a wild thing. What a wild thing. From afar, it's like, if I can't have this, none of you are going to have it, and I'm going to sell it. Wild. It's the craziest part about the whole thing? We were talking about it all in our group chat, and what's the first thing that Frank said? I think that we were talking about Stephanie resigning and Vince coming back and his Triple H saying, first thing that Frank said was what, guys? Does anyone remember?
Can we still do the Royal Rumble pool?
Yeah, how does it affect the Royal Rumble?
Not our picks.
That was the best. Yeah, I was like, yes, actually, Vince addressed the Royal Rumble pool.
It was so funny. You heard what I meant at lunch, right?
No, I didn't.
I told you that people were talking about how the creative may get influenced by it.
The way I read it was...
I know how you read it, but you were just looking for an opportunity to try to correct me on something. And then I spent 5 minutes wondering, should I clarify? Should I show him the article that I'm looking at? I was like, you know what, screw it.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Is the Royal Rumble pool still intact?
I did not say that.
How does this affect our Royal Rumble pool, for goodness sakes? In fact, our next question from Abe is about a Royal Rumble pool, but we're going to have to get to that in a bit because we do have our first question asker of the day. No, what did I just say?
What, are you feeling all right? This is what happens when you lie.
Wait, how did I lie?
Because I didn't say anything about the Royal
Frank,
Rumble pool.
I don't like liars, okay?
Exactly.
I don't like liars. Don't trigger me. Let's go back to the questions. Abe says, hello, Ariel. Two-part WWE question today. Thoughts on the Royal Rumble? I know you want Sammy to win. I don't think Sammy has to win. I think it would be cool because then you could do Sammy versus Roman. But I also do think you don't need Sammy to win because you could just have Roman, turn on Sammy and then something happens. But yes, I mean, there's Sammy, there's Cody. I guess there's The Rock. I do too, but do you think the company goes with him? Could Cody, Rocky, or anyone else return? Also, is GC planning on placing a bet? If so, I'd say Sami Zayn plus 200, Rock plus 300, Wyatt's is a good wild card at plus 3,000. Secondly, given how successful Clash at the Castle was, any thoughts on why WWE chose O2 for Money in the Bank in July? And are you planning on attending? P.S. With the news of Vince returning, unfortunately, I'm having nightmares of another Roman Reigns versus Lesnar WrestleMania main event. Much love, your boy Abe. I don't think that is going to happen. I do think there's value in being in London as opposed to Cardiff. And so I think that there's value for them going there. They did the Cardiff show. Now they'll go to the O2. I think that's really cool. That's great for the UK fans. I do hope to be there. I think it's July 1st. And I do think Sammy winning is the best bet. As far as GC, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I do think that we were planning on doing a pool, right? Where we each pick a number. I think it was going to be me, GC, Frank, New York Rick, and there's been some talk of Joe entering. And we each pick 6 numbers, right? And the winner gets the pot. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we needed a divisible number by 30.
Is Joe interested in this?
He's considering it.
He's considering it. All he has to do is pick 5 numbers, right? No.
Fumbling over his words in excitement is what.
Wow.
Yeah, he picked up his phone immediately.
Yeah.
Doing research?
Yeah. Doing a little tape study for.
All we have to do is have a pot with 30 pieces of paper, right, and numbers, and we each pick out the number? Or do we do a draft style where it's like, all right, you pick a number, like you say 3, I say 9, he says 14. How do we do it?
Oh, interesting. I kind of like this draft idea.
I think so too, because then you can look at history, right?
Yeah, also, if we're just going in and grabbing numbers, like there's a chance that you could really get the short end of the stick there.
I say we do draft.
Yeah, I like the draft idea much better.
So you can have the first pick and say, I want 3 because I think that, historically 3, or I have a feeling, whatever it is, right?
Rick is aggressively shaking his head now.
Why? I actually thought that that's what we were doing.
That kills all the fun. The randomness is the fun.
You don't think us picking numbers based on strategy or history?
Dude, I'm not. All right, you know what? You guys do that. Give me random numbers. I don't care.
Wow. Wow.
The
You can't-
aggression
I
is
understand not having a
palpable.
resolution, but just to
You
turn
can't
on us
stick
like
around
that.
for 6 numbers? Like, what is that all about?
Well,
Guys,
you
they
think
don't
I'm going to
have to go
sit there
through
and
a
do
whole war
research
room.
into which 6 numbers are the highest numbers for WWE Royal Rumble?
You don't even have to do that. Just pick your favorite
Put me
6
on auto
numbers.
draft.
Just
Put me on auto draft.
just pick your favorite 6 numbers.
Joe is excited. Do
I'm-
not
I'm
crush
good.
this.
If
Wow.
we're doing
Put me on-
if we're doing random, we have to do like 1 through 6, and then you get those, and then you do 7 through 12. Like it's got to be somewhat fair.
Or no, I think there's two options. There's just the big pot, we all pick out a number, or
What if someone just ends up stacked in the 20s?
then that's the way it is.
God bless.
For the record, my vote is the draft.
I heavily vote draft.
Frank?
If I had 2 votes, they'd both be for the draft.
Frank?
I also would like the draft.
I'm outvoted. Put me on auto draft. I'll take whatever's left over.
Wow.
You're not the only one involved here. Joe, speak up.
No, well, the numbers are already in favor.
Got it.
Well, here you go. What is going on? Just wait. What is Joe's vote?
I'm in.
Okay.
Draft.
Draft. Okay. What in the world? Someone is.
Breaking news.
Oh, wow. No, it's just stupidities. I mean, there's a lot of stupid people online right now. No, I'm just seeing this article from Barrett Sports Media claiming that I was the one that reported the Saudi Arabia sale and deleting the tweet. I didn't retweet. Listen to this article. This is an incredible article that was just sent to me. This is amazing. CNBC host David Faber has refuted reports that the WWE has been purchased by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. Okay. After the resignation of WWE co-CEO Stephanie McMahon late Tuesday evening, rumors began to swirl that the company had been purchased by the same fund that bankrolled the upstart Live Golf Tour in 2022. In a since-deleted tweet, MMA reporter Ariel Helwani tweeted, WWE has been sold to Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. The company will go back to being private. Unknown if Vince McMahon will return to head of creative, but it's expected by somebody. I never tweeted that. Who wrote this? I didn't tweet that, you moron. That was someone from DAZN, Steve Mulhausen. That wasn't me. The fuck? During Wednesday's show, Faber refuted those reports, blasting Helwani. This is amazing. And other journalists for prematurely jumping the gun on any potential sale. There was a tweet overnight from somebody saying that the Saudis were going to buy. That tweet got deleted. That wasn't true to begin with, but it has had the effect sending the stock up a bit more. Faber continued by saying there are prospective buyers, but they are unclear on whether Vince McMahon would actually sell the organization. The Saudi thing doesn't appear to have a lot behind it right now. Again, that tweet has been deleted, I believe, from earlier, from some gentleman associated with wrestling and marketing overall. What? After deleting the tweet, Helwani has clarified there is no deal in place and WWE is still exploring all options. And then they posted my tweets. And in my tweet, I wrote, worth noting that the original tweet stating it was a done deal has since been deleted. Not because I deleted it, you fucking moron, because the dude who reported it deleted it. What in the world? The sad state of affairs. And Barrett Sports Media is actually legit media entity that has actually reached out to me recently to do an interview with me. Guess what? Not happening now. Wow. I would love to ask the person who wrote this to apologize, because it's pretty freaking damning, because as we all know, still batting 1,000, but it says by BSM staff. That's crazy.
I did an interview one time with Barrett Sports Media.
Yeah. Troy's brother, right?
Yeah.
Fargus. Should we ask for a public apology from them? What should we ask?
That's up to you. I mean, it's defaming you.
Do you realize how crazy this is? I didn't report that. I'm the one that reported the accurate stuff.
I love how people say all these things with conviction. Like there was another video saying that you were in bed with the WWE.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, this guy, Ariel, he's in bed with WWE, and oh yeah, he didn't ask Triple H a single question. Meanwhile, like half of the interview was about this stuff. Like, what did you want me to ask? We're not getting into all this again, please, for the love of God. Weird stuff. What a world we're living in. Okay, back to the questions. So we're going with draft, right?
Definitely going with draft.
Okay.
Are we going to put it on the air, or it'll be behind the scenes?
No, we're doing
draft lottery type thing.
In the interest of full disclosure, we have to put it on the air.
Great.
Newman. Hello, Ariel. Hello, Newman. Although the UFC is starting off 2023 with yet another fight night at the Apex, there appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel for those of us who can't stand to watch Apex events anymore. I love the Apex. I don't know what you're talking about. The March 11th UFC Fight Night is currently scheduled to take place at the theater at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas, which has a seating capacity of 4,500 people. I'm hoping that this will be their new venue to hold fight nights in Vegas instead of the Apex. Do you have information? Yes, I've heard that. Is it going to be the new Vegas spot? I don't know. I'd be shocked if they completely remove the Apex. Maybe it's a couple here or there. But yeah, let's be positive about it. Let's remain positive. John in HB, which I guess is Huntington Beach. Hola, Ariel, with the Jake Paul now in PFL news, which puts him in bed with ESPN, do you think he'll be asked to tone down going at Dana? That is a great question. I'm going to say it's a great. I mean, I feel like Jake does what Jake does, and their deal isn't with ESPN for life, and obviously not as lucrative as the UFC deal. I would just say that hasn't happened yet. Could it happen? Potentially, but it hasn't happened yet. Would it shock me? No. To be honest, it wouldn't. By the way, GC, I got a question for you. Jake Paul has a stake in Better, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like they will raise any issues, any conflicts about someone with a stake in a betting company having a stake in an MMA company and potentially competing for said MMA company? Like, that could be a potential conflict, right?
It feels like it, yeah, but also no, because sportsbooks are just going to make money regardless. Like, it's not like they need a certain outcome. No matter what, if people are betting, sportsbooks are going to profit.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like no. I wonder if Better, because PFL has the deal with DraftKings right now. I wonder if there's anything with Better in PFL at some point.
It is worth noting that back in the day when the Fertittas owned the UFC, you couldn't go to a station casino and bet on the UFC. So maybe Better just won't put PFL lines up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know enough to speak on it, but you do make a good point. There could be a conflict of interest there.
Yeah, I wonder. I haven't heard anything. I think they were talking about it yesterday in Massachusetts. I wonder, but that is an interesting one. Ariel, you alluded to a dart accident happening before the show on Monday. Wondering if you could talk a little more about how the two darts got broken and who's to blame for the damages. My bet is Mysterious Frank. Wow. He's had a tough day, guys. Lay off him, all right? It's from Rami. No, Joe was kind enough to set up the dartboard. I think I went to the bathroom. I came back and he said we had one casualty. I think one of the darts hit the lights or something. Something like that?
No, the floor.
Oh, it hit the floor. That's right. It hit the floor. Then I went and shot one and it fell, but it didn't break to the point of no repair because Joe was able to fix it. And then Corporate Alex took a try and hit the wall twice, which is pretty incredible. I don't think anyone has hit the wall yet. And then we even had a little tourney between Joe and GC, and I think Joe won. Did Joe win that one?
No, Connor beat me.
Wow.
Wow, changing stories that quick.
No, legit. I really didn't remember. What was
Undefeated, undisputed champion of the dartboard right now is currently.
It's very therapeutic. I enjoy
It was close. It was close, though.
It was a very close match. I will say that. It was a back and forth exchange. I mean, just two heavyweights going at it, but I did come out on top.
There was a whiteboard. And
There was a whiteboard involved.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
which
real
then got
scoring.
me thinking, what I'd like to do is every time someone comes in studio, guest, we have them throw, what should it be? 3 darts, just 3? And then we start creating a leaderboard of all the in-studio guests and seeing where and we'll film it. We'll take, I don't know if we could do it on air or maybe just like on our phone afterwards and then post it, something like that. But I think that'd be a fun little gimmick. What do you guys
It's kind
think?
of like Top Gear.
I don't know what that is.
Car show that used to be on BBC. Every time they had a guest, they'd have them do a lap and they would keep track of who the fastest. No?
Do you think we should do it? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you should. I think it's awesome.
All right. We've got some quick fire questions now. Patrick McCray, GC, merch update, please. Again, I don't pick the questions. I think it's the same guy every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same thing. We have done everything we can possibly do, and it is out of our control. People above us, above our pay grade, are the ones making the decisions, and I mean, I haven't gotten an update in quite some time now. Want it to happen.
I believe there's
Put the work
someone
in to happen.
I believe there's someone at the company who's working very hard on making this happen for us. I've been told that. So let's see if it comes to fruition. Eric Haber. Shalom, Ariel, and Happy New Year. I'm curious as to where you rank Tyson Fury in the all-time great heavyweight boxer list. Wow. Getting up there. Certainly if he remains undefeated. All-time heavyweight. Top 5? I would put him up there, top 5. And by the way, a lot of people are mad at me that I didn't have him in my top 5 pound for pound. He was 6 for the record, but they only asked me for 5 right now. And like I said, I had the list up there. Crawford, I think it was Crawford. What the hell? I'm going to forget. What did I say again? Wait for it. Wait, there it is. Crawford, Usyk. Bivol beat Canelo, so he's 3, Canelo 4, Inoue 5. Some people were mad that I didn't have Fury on there. Some people thought that I should have Inoue higher. But again, Inoue reminds me a lot of DJ, Demetrius Johnson, in that he's great, but he is kind of a victim of the opponents that he's facing. Like, he doesn't have the names, he doesn't have the resume, he doesn't have the roster. Unfortunate at his disposal, but, I feel pretty good about that list. Jimmy, hey, Ariel, thank you for all the amazing content. Just curious when you will immortalize Kayla. I thought you had promised her the last time you interviewed her. Did we do that? Did I promise her that?
No.
I don't know if I promised her that. Did I say if she mended the fences with Ali, I would do it?
No.
I did say we do have a Israel Adesanya picture that I need to find a spot for. Remember, I told him I would put him up there.
Facts.
We do have that printed, so that's going to go somewhere. Kayla deserves to be up there, for the record. I just have to find the spot. So many people in our good graces. Jamal says, Happy New Year to the gang. My question is if the crew and their families have any special New Year's food traditions. I don't. Do you guys?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. What is it?
Black-eyed
Carrots.
peas for good luck.
Serious?
Spinach for money. Yeah,
Wow.
we do it every year. It's like a Southern tradition.
Yeah, but my parents used to do that.
Yeah, I kind of hate black-eyed peas because of it.
And cabbage, right?
Yeah, I think cabbage is in there. I want to say there's a third one, but
Squash.
of late it's just been good luck and money. Black-eyed peas and spinach.
Cornbread.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What's the cornbread stand for? Signify.
Health. I don't know.
I actually like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I don't do it, though.
Oh, okay. New York Rick, do you got something?
Nada.
All right. Thanks for that.
What do you expect from him? He's being honest.
I like that we went full screen for that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make one up. No.
I mean, do you make dinner on that day? Like, what?
Nah, there's nothing. It's a regular day.
Just a regular
I
day.
was asleep by 10.
No, yeah, make the day. No. This is on New Year's Day, not New Year's Eve.
Right.
Oh, wait. He said
Yeah,
New Year's
that's what I
Day?
said. Yeah, I do it on New Year's Day.
Well, he just wrote New Year's food traditions. So to me,
Yeah,
I was
ring
thinking,
in the New Year.
oh, no, less than nothing. Big money. Hi, Ariel. Spare you the New Year wishes since it's the second week in January and way too late for that. First off, congrats to GC and the Georgia Bulldogs for their epic 10-7 performance against TCU. Some are even saying it rivaled the Helwani Pimblett domination of a few weeks ago. Wow. My contribution today is more of a statement of gratitude for the Bills organization, the first responders and medical professionals, the city of Buffalo, the entire Bills Mafia, in regards to the overall handling of the frightening Damar Hamlin accident during last Monday night's game. I can't think of a better city, team, and fan base to represent the American spirit in times of struggle and feel honored to be from there. Although 2023 has been off to a rocky start, let's acknowledge one miracle that has captivated the country and appreciate the power of positivity in the world. Thank you, and go Bills. My God, Big Money, you have given me goosebumps. I couldn't have said it any better. I love the people of Buffalo. I love the people of Western New York, and they truly are special souls. I mean, they have been through a lot over the past year. I went through it. The team has been through a lot over the past year, and it's just incredible how they're so positive. They are so resilient. They are true fighters. And I know other communities, other cities have great relationships with their teams. I'm not going to dismiss that. But that community, considering everything it's been through, and considering what the Bills mean to them, and considering everything that that franchise has been through, the 4 Super Bowls, the ups and downs, all that stuff, it would really be one of the most beautiful things that I've ever witnessed if they could finally do it. And I said this to a friend of mine who works for the Bills, Kelsey Sweet, who I've mentioned before, who's just salt of the earth, incredible human being. My whole life, I wanted the Bills to win for selfish reasons. I wanted it so I can, celebrate my team. So I can, say that my team is the Super Bowl champions of the world. I could gloat. I could do all these things. I could buy the merch, all that stuff. And now for the first time, I feel like I don't want the Bills to win for selfish reasons. I really want the Bills to win for Buffalo. I want it for those people. I want it for that community. I want it for that team, that organization. I know people don't like the word deserve. They deserve it. They really do. And I think it would be such an incredible story. I saw this morning that Damar Hamlin has been discharged. Such an incredible story if they can make it happen, if they can finally get over the hump. Just 4 more wins, guys. 4 more wins. And you are immortalized for life. 4 more wins. It would be truly amazing. I want it so bad. My kids were asking me, like, Bills or Knicks. And to me, it's Bills right now. It's Bills in terms of like who I want to see win a championship more. I've not seen either win. But let's be honest, people in New York, they've got the Yankees, they've got the Rangers, they've got the Giants. They've been able to celebrate. And I know people aren't fans of all of them, but chances are you're a fan of at least one. Unless you're, I guess, a Jets-Mets guy. But if you're a Jets-Mets guy, you're probably a Rangers, maybe an Islanders guy. Anyway, chances are the great people of Buffalo haven't had anything to celebrate in terms of, champions of the world, champions of their respective sport. And considering everything that has happened, I would love to see it for them. They are incredible. And the fact that I finally got to visit and experience it, I feel a great kinship to that community now. And I want it so bad. I had to take a break from watching the Patriots game on Sunday because I was so nervous about how they were playing. I just had to go take a walk.
Even after the first play?
At the end of half, I had to go take a walk because there was an interception. They were tied going into the half. I just wanted so bad.
Can I admit, I'm like afraid to text during the game.
Yeah, probably with good reason.
Smart move.
Unless it's positive. I mean, that's probably for the best. Yeah, no, it's my son asked me if I could stop yelling.
If they make it.
You know what? There's a part of me that's almost dreading it.
Like a wreck? Because when last year when Georgia was in the national championship, to say I was living and dying with every single play would be understating it. Like it was almost not an enjoyable experience.
Yes.
The game itself. Once we won, it was incredible. But like I was just so nervous during the game.
There's a part of me that's dreading it, especially, trust me, I'd love nothing more. Please don't get me wrong, but if they win the AFC Championship and then there's a 2-week break, I'm obviously going to revel in it. It's going to be so cool, but God, I just want it so bad. I wish that we can almost like do a simulation, see what happens, and then rewind the tape, and then I could live it out. You know what I mean? I just want it so bad. I just want to see them win once, just once. For them, really for them. They are such great. What a class organization. Sean McDermott, Brandon Bean, all of them. Josh, Stephon Diggs, like what they do for the community. I am very proud. In fact, I have my Let's Go Buffalo shirt here with me, my sweatshirt here with me. I am very proud. See, the thing about me, I pick class organizations to be a fan of. The Bills, Nottingham Forest. Well, I guess it doesn't really work for the Knicks. I haven't been the best.
Is it just those two?
Yeah, pretty much. Summer body, no need. All right. Hello, Ariel. The MMA world seems to forget people, especially female fighter, quite quickly. Do you think that the return of Tatiana Suarez will be as big as it should be? Do we have information about GDR, which would be a great matchup against Shevchenko, also for a comeback? I reached out to Tatiana. I heard it's not quite 100% done. She doesn't love doing media. It should be a big deal. It's also been 5 years since her last fight, 4 years since her last fight. So, a lot has changed in the sport since then. So I think it will be a big deal to some. And then I think that she's going to win, look great. And then it's going to be an even bigger deal after, like, oh, wow, she's back. GDR, I've heard nothing about. Will the Beast. Buenos dias, Ariel. 3-parter here. Will this year, being the 30th anniversary of the UFC, do you think that the one-night tournament format will be brought back in November? No. If it is, do you think any ranked fighters take a chance participating in the tourney? It's not coming back. Who would you like to see? It's not coming back. Gracias and be safe, my friends. I mean, it's just not coming back. I'm sorry. No chance. Maybe not no chance, but I would be absolutely shocked. Ahmad, salam alaikum, Ariel. Wa alaikum salam. I have missed this segment for the past few weeks, and I'm happy we're here again. Loved finally seeing you interview KSI, as I am a fan of both. My question is, did the interview change the way you or the crew perceived him, either as a person or a boxer? Much appreciated. Obviously, boxer, like that can't really change the way you perceive him. I will say, I've never really been dismissive of KSI. I've never really been dismissive of all this. I remember the first time I heard about Logan, KSI, their first fight. It was actually through my guy, Abby Subban, who works for Junkie and has an older son who was getting him into it. And I was like, what? This is weird. I think New York Rick and I spoke about it during the Crust First days. Am I right, New York Rick? Didn't we talk about this? Like 2000?
Yeah, we definitely did.
The first fight, right? And we were like, what is this? Yeah. What is going on here? I don't think I've ever said it's crap or I don't like it, don't appreciate or support it. But obviously, like if there's if there's Garcia Tank or KSI, like it's no brainer. But as a pro wrestling fan, like I appreciate the showmanship. I appreciate all of it. And as long as the matchups are somewhat fair and it's not, someone fighting a 30-0 boxer, like you feel relatively comfortable with it. I do give him credit for training and getting in there. I knew more about Jake than KSI. I will say I really enjoyed KSI. I really, really enjoyed him. I thought he was very personable. His laugh is infectious. He's just a fun guy to talk to. And then I saw afterwards was all the stuff with Jake and him back and forth. Who knows about all that stuff? But as far as him, like I will tell you, I am planning on tuning in just because I kind of enjoyed talking to him. I did. And I do think him versus Jake Paul would be a massive, massive fight. Did you guys change your stance on him at all? GC, Rick?
Yeah, I didn't really have a stance on him.
Okay.
Going into it, but like you said, like his personality is pretty infectious. Love the laugh. He seems like a positive dude. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of him now, but I like him. I'll tune into the fight and cheer for him.
Ditto. Had no real opinion. If we're making the comparison, it sounded like the person was saying he likes KSI and Jake Paul. If we're making the comparison, it seems like he's trying a little less hard, but I don't know. That's just how it came across.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like KSI. He seemed like a solid man, but who knows? I know nothing else about him other than he's a YouTuber and that he beat up 2 bin men in his last fight. So
it is wild when you look at his early videos and it's like, wow, this guy was really just doing FIFA videos and now he's worth millions of dollars and selling out arenas. It's a wild community. It's a wild scene. And I think the hate just comes from jealousy. I really do. Because they're not taking, if anything, like they're not, that's the main thing always. I always repeat this. They're not taking spots away from anyone. In fact, they're giving people like an Anthony Taylor. They're giving guys who don't have a spot or maybe wouldn't have made as much money. They're giving these guys spots. They're not taking away anyone's spot. Now, totally can see if it's not your cup of tea, you don't like it, you feel like it cheapens the sport or whatever, but feels like when the fighters hate on it, it's just from a place of jealousy. They went the conventional way, the traditional way. They're not getting as much money, as much fame, as much attention, and they're like, what the fuck? Roundhouse MMA. Hello, Ariel. Hope you and the rest of the crew are having a great start to your year. Beneil Dariush is making headlines right now and sparking a large debate within the MMA community as he stated that Dustin Poirier should really consider retiring if he doesn't want to fight rising contenders. Just wanted to get your thoughts on this statement, whose side you're on here. I personally think Dustin has paid his dues with the company and should be able to fight whoever he wants, even if it's guys or isn't guys like Jalen Turner, Fiziev, Tarukian. Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this is the worst take of the year. And when you read the full statement, it's like, all right, I understand he's hedging a little bit. But like if there's one guy that you can't question, it's Dustin Poirier. I mean, he is, first of all, an OG of the game. Second of all, has fought them all, has not backed down from anyone. I mean, come on. He's looking for big fights. I don't really think he's squatting on any spot, to be honest. He's just not that guy. He's not that guy that you can call out like that. Especially, by the way, when you just said, I'll be down to fight 10 guys, I don't care, blah, 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 blah. And now you're calling out Dustin Poirier for, I guess, not being too keen on fighting you. I don't know. Didn't love it. Dustin, to me, infinite respect. Forget about what I think of him as a person. Just like the way he's conducted himself throughout his career, who he's fought, when he's fought, all that stuff. He's not that guy. I don't like the squatters, but he's not a squatter. And so like this idea of like, you need to retire unless you're going to fight these guys. Like, what? He just fought Michael Chandler. What are you talking about? Yes? Someone want to say something? No.
I mean, are we taking trash talk literally now? Like it was a call out. Like
didn't love it.
Dissect like.
Well, I mean, I was asked the question.
He doesn't actually want him to retire. I don't think he cares one way or the other.
Here's the thing.
Honest.
Beneil is so like, he's so straightforward that I actually think he did mean that when he said like, hey, you should retire if you're not going to fight the guys. I actually don't think that it was trash talk. I actually think that he was saying in the quote, I'm not trying to talk shit here, but I think X, Y, and Z. Because Beneil isn't a trash talk.
The best shit talk is when you say I'm not trying to talk shit and then you talk shit. That's the best.
But is Beneil that guy?
I mean, he's had some bangers lately.
What bangers?
He's found his voice a little bit more.
What, when he called out Elon Musk? When he gave props to Jesus in Abu Dhabi? Like, what are the bangers? Tell me what the bangers were.
I'm not about to go through his no,
listen.
Reel. But yeah,
give me one. Give me one banger.
I mean, my thing is just like, I think everybody's reading a little too literally into this. It's not that serious.
100%. By the way, I wrote worst take of the year, like sort of tongue in cheek. And then I looked back at the tweet. I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like a million responses to it. And people being like, well, actually, it's, I'm like, all right, chill out.
They're just as bad too, though. They're just as bad. The
as
well
me?
Actually is on top of the.
Oh.
Well, you taking it too literally is one.
What
level.
too literally? I just said it was worst take of the year.
Who are I mean, it's not. It's just trash talk. It's not that serious. And then the people piling on top with the well actuallys on top of that, they're just as bad. So all around, bad marks for this. Not that serious of a tweet.
And by the way, someone wrote to me, how could you say it's the worst take of the year when we've had like Jamal Hill and then all that other stuff? I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Nowhere near as bad as a take. I just thought, I was like, there's other ways to get Dustin's attention, but you're not going to fight. And is he a rising star prospect? Like, do we put Beneil Dariush in the same category as the Jalen? Like,
he tried to get Dustin's attention, and Dustin said no thanks. Literally said no thanks. Like, not interested. Sorry, bud. So, I mean, it's just another trash talk.
By the way, can I just say something? I actually like the fight.
Great fight. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Dustin's the one who doesn't want to do it.
Wow. Clip that off.
Who's a bigger Dustin Poirier fan than me? Who?
I don't know.
Can't find one.
Me.
Yeah, maybe. But I am a big fan of Dustin. And he doesn't need to be defended. Let's not take it that seriously.
All right,
it was fine. It was trash talk from Beneil.
More on the lightweights. King Tyler, Shalom, Ariel, and crew. With none of the top 15 lightweights officially booked besides the champion, the division is a blank canvas. What fights would you like to see made? I think the optimal matchups are Oliveira versus Poirier 2 and winner gets the title shot. Not bad. Gaethje Fiziev, love it. Dariush Makhachev if Volk wins, or versus Tsarukyan if Islam wins. Tough. Yeah, I think Dariush deserves a big fight. And then to wait until February, like he last fought in October, that's a long wait for Dariush. So maybe Tsarukyan, but again, tough. Chandler Moicano, fun. Gamrot Turner, very fun. I'm down with all those. No mention of Mr. Conor McGregor. He writes, can't wait to see these bangers. Headline is sold out Apex. Anyways, looking forward to a great 2023 with you all. As are we. They're all very fun. I have no problem with them except for Dariush Makhachev, because that means Dariush has to wait a long time. But where does Conor fit in all this? Last one. Hi, Ariel. I am a Canadian school teacher, longtime listener. However, since your first in-studio interview with Jared Gordon back in January of 2018, I've been showing clips here and there to my students in order to raise a discussion about perseverance, determination, respect, and positive attitude. Your story alone is something that many of my students admire and have been able to relate to. My question is, if you had one piece of advice or two to give to these students, 13 to 15 years old, what would it be? Man. There's a lot. Well, you know, the one that always comes to mind is one that I've repeated, and it's, you know, you only have one life. So go out there and dream big and try to be the best person that you can be and live with no regrets. However, that's more for someone who's in college, you know, who's starting their life, who's choosing what they're going to do, who's choosing what career path they're going to take. For a 13 to 15-year-old, I would say, and obviously easier said than done. It's easier to say as a 40-year-old as opposed to a 18-year-old or 15-year-old. But one thing that I struggled with was confidence when I shouldn't have struggled with it, when everyone around me was not giving me any reason to struggle with it. But I always struggled with self-confidence. And so I would tell any young kid, young teenager, number one, believe in yourself. Have self-confidence. Know that everyone doubts themselves, struggles. Everyone is like you. No one is above questioning themselves. So it's not like you're different. So just don't worry about that crap. Don't sweat the small things. It's okay. If you didn't do well on that math test, life is going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. I used to stress over these things. Stress. And again, I know it's easy for me to say, but I would stress so much. And it's like, what was the point, right? Have fun. You only get to be a kid once. Put things in perspective. Have fun with your friends. Enjoy these times. You'll never get them back. Play sports. Be a part of a team. Camaraderie is very important. Teamwork is very important. Being part of a unit, a group, a community. My favorite times as a kid was being a part of a team, basketball team, traveling, being the captain, going on different trips, different schools. Was incredible. Some of my favorite memories. Try to do as much as possible. Try to be a good person. Don't be a bully. Look out for your friend who might be feeling down. Put your arm around them. Stick up for them. Defend them. Include them. And just have fun. 13 to 15, those are primetime years. Also somewhat awkward years, somewhat kind of figuring yourself out years. But they could be great times if you're a good kid, you listen to your parents, you follow the rules to, the best extent possible. And if I could just say one more thing, please do me a favor. And I know it's very, very, very hard. Try to stay away from this. I'm going to try my damnedest to not give my kids a phone, to wait as long as possible. I've already told them, I got mine at 21. I see no reason why they can't have theirs when they're 21, meaning they could wait. Now, I know everyone else, like when you're grade 6 at this point, you have a phone, and I think that's crazy. It is very scary what the phone, what social media, what YouTube, what Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all these things can do to a kid's mind in terms of their attention span, in terms of what they watch and what, like yesterday, perfect example of this. My son tells me that Ronaldo scored in his first game for Al Nassr. And I was like, wow, he played? I didn't see that. Show me the clip. Shows me the clip. And I'm like, what the hell? Ronaldo scoring for Al Nassr. Then I see it's Ronaldo in a Juventus jersey, but some guy changed it to make it look yellow some way, somehow, and everything is yellow. And in the title of the clip, it's Ronaldo scores in his first game for Al Nassr, and it has like some 6.2 million views. And I was like, this is fake. This is fake. Now, obviously, not the end of the world, but it just shows how dangerous this stuff can be. He's talking to me about, Andrew Tate's Bugatti. Like, my kids are 10 and 8. They shouldn't be duped by this stuff, but they are because they're exposed to it. And when we were younger, we weren't exposed to it. What we were exposed to was Mike Tyson's Punch Out and Saved by the Bell on Saturday mornings. That was it. They don't know what it's like to sit in front of the TV and watch a 30-minute show and be like, oh, Fresh Prince is on at 8:30 on Monday. Let me watch this. Oh, Wonder Years is on at 9 o'clock on Wednesday. Let me watch this. They have no idea what that's like. They don't know what it's like to wait, to be patient, to watch a show. It's a little alarming. It is. So I hope that this isn't going to be introduced to kids at a young age, even though it probably is, because it affects their attention span, their patience, their brain development, all those things and more. I know that's longer than one or two pieces of advice, but good to get that off my chest. All right.